you're gonna get that much pull out of your stroke. So catch is here, drive is the middle portion all through your legs, and then your finish is with the arms, and then the recovery is coming back. So the 4 parts are catch, drive, finish, and recovery. What you're gonna look for is 60% of your power is gonna come from your legs, 30% is gonna come from your trunk rocking over, and only 10% comes from your arms. So people think that it's, it's a pulling workout. It's pushing 100%. Remember, the rower is always pushing. You're pushing the machine away from you. Same way that when you go to do a deadlift, you're pushing the floor away from you. You're not using your arms to pull the bar up. You don't have any strength up here. You have your strength here from your, from the posterior chain. And so what it looks like is, if I go real slow, I'm coiled up here like a spring, my arms stay long, and you want to stay loose in the handle. You don't want to death grip it. You don't want to underhand grip it. I don't know if anybody does this, but you don't want to do that. Generally, what you want to do is keep about a pinky off, and you want to just be as long as you can get. So if I can get it all the way in here, even better. And so I'm pulling with my legs first, then my trunk rocks over, and I finish with the arms. Okay? So what I'm gonna have everybody do is we're just gonna row for 30 to 40 seconds. I'm gonna watch everybody. I'm gonna see what I can point out, and then we'll switch, have the other team do it, and then I'll come back through and we'll go through each portion. I'll show you a drill, and then we'll do that again. Okay? So just go about 30 seconds or so. The monitors will come on. When you get to 30 seconds, you can just switch with the other person so everybody gets a shot at it. Okay. So a couple different things that I saw. First thing is, remember, when you're on the handle, you don't need to be all the way in here. You want to be as loose in the shoulders as you can. And so as you pull, it's your lat that's going to take the tension to pull through. But if you're tight here and you're tight in your shoulders, you're going to lose some of that pull, and you're going to get a lot tired faster. You're not going to be able to hold that tension the whole way through. The other thing I saw is a really excessive lean back. So what happens is people think, I need a long stroke, I'm gonna come all the way back here. But the problem is, I can't, how do I get back? I gotta pull back from my abs, and I gotta somehow pull in here. I don't have any power back here, and so you're not putting any power into the machine. The difference between a really long pull and putting power into the machine is if I'm connected, I'm turning over calories, I'm turning over meters. If I'm back here and I'm unconnected, the whole time it takes me to get here, back to here, would have been better served had I ended here and I got back a lot quicker, because now you're staying connected the whole way through the pull. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do what's called a pick drill, and this will pull you through the other elements in the stroke. So when you're in the very end position, you wanna be at about 11 o'clock. So just imagine there's a clock sitting right here. You wanna finish at 11, and you wanna finish here. It's not hitting your chest. What the arms are actually doing is pulling you back into the machine. And so you still want to push through your feet. And so if I pull here, I'm pulling myself back into the machine. For this drill, unlock your feet, take your feet out. Because what's going to happen is if you do the layback, if you're used to this layback, and I start rowing feet out, I'm going to be here every time. You'll notice that you end here because you're not used to stopping, pulling yourself back in. So here's what we're going to do. 5 strokes, all the way out, 11 o'clock, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I want to get it to my chest, and I want to get it off my chest. Get it to your chest, get it off. Just let it pull you back in, and that starts your recovery. And so what you want to do is when I come back in, I need to get this past my knees first. If I start bending my knees early, now where's the handle got to go? It's got to go around my knees to get back down. The straighter you can keep that chain, the more power you're gonna drive into the rower. And so you're gonna do, we'll do 5 to 10 strokes. Just 5 to 10 strokes here. You'll switch with the next person. And then when you get back on, what we're gonna do is we're gonna rock the trunk, arms, trunk, arms. Legs stay locked out the whole time. So make sure you're leaning back at 11. Yep, and so just 5, 10 strokes there. And then this second group can do, you're gonna do trunk, so you're gonna hinge at the hips. Same thing in the deadlift where you're hinging at the hips. Your back angle stays exactly the same and you're gonna hinge, pull back, finish with the arms. Okay? Feet unlocked, yep. We'll keep the feet unlocked for almost everything today because I want you guys to get used to pulling back into the rower. And you can sort of feel that as you're pulling with your arms. Just imagine you're pulling your feet. You should feel pressure on your feet going back into the rower each time. So keep your legs locked out there, Colin. And just hinge, yep. Hinge with the trunk, then finish with the arms. It'll feel like you're not getting a lot of power yet, but that's because we haven't put all the pieces together. So we'll let everybody get a shot at that. Those last 2 pieces. So we're sort of working backwards through these strokes. We're going, you know, finish first, then we're working ourselves into the drive, and we'll finish with the catch. So keep your legs locked out, just hinge at the hips, trunk, arms. Good. Okay. So I recommend, this is called the pick drill when we put all 4 of the pieces together. I recommend you do this drill anytime you go to row, or, you know, in the morning when you come in, whenever, because this helps you break down each of the pieces. So the second piece, after we get to here, now we have to work on the slide. This is called the slide, and so full slide is me all the way in, half slide is where I am. So this is gonna be sort of anatomically driven, how long your legs are. Like for example, here's the end of mine. I'm never gonna go past this, I can't. You know, my legs don't go any further. And when I'm all the way in, I'm gonna stop right here. I don't have, you know, the mobility to get all the way to here. So wherever you end, you know, that's the distance from there to here. So I'm gonna take half of that distance and we're gonna do, you're gonna do half slide, pull, here. So hinge over, half slide, pull, half slide. Okay, we'll go through 5 to 10 of those strokes, only going halfway in. So press the legs down first, then the trunk, then the arms. So we're slowly putting each piece together. So feel that connection the whole way through the pull. So just half slide, drive through, good. Keep your chest rocked over until your legs get all the way down. As soon as I rock over, I lose whatever's left in my legs. You want to get the legs fully extended. Same thing if you're going to snatch anything. You want the legs fully extended. That's where your power is. So be patient on the pull. We always say be patient on the snatch, everything else. Same thing applies here. You want to drive as much power as you can before you open up. Good. Okay. Everybody got through that? Okay, so we're going to finish with the full stroke. You're going to put, 10 to 15 full strokes together. So it's all the way in, as tight as you can get it. Then you're going to pull legs down, then finish. So when I come back, it's rock over first, then it's come in, arms are long until my legs are down, rock, pull. Okay. So just put the whole stroke together all the way in. Keep your feet out. This way when you get to the back, you'll know I got to pull myself back in. I can't lay all the way back. I recommend feet out rowing for probably 90% until you're getting into a workout and you actually need to do it. If you're warming up, anything, stay feet out and that'll keep you more connected to the machine. Good. And if anybody has any questions or anything, you know, as we're doing this, just stop me at any time. So bring your hands out a little bit, Amanda. Yeah, there you go. Stay loose, yep. Good. You don't want your grip to fatigue. Most of the time you guys are gonna be rowing in the middle of a workout. You're gonna have to come back to something else. If your grip fatigues on the rower, you're gonna have to go back and pick up a barbell or something without the grip. You wanna stay loose, use your body to move it. Okay. Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, so we went through the pick drill on arms only, trunk and arms, half slide, full slide. What I wanna go over now is the drag factor. So oftentimes I see people come in and everybody, you know, it's a sprint, I'm gonna set it all the way up to 10 or I'm gonna set it to 8. You never really know where to set it, or you either just get on and just row wherever it is. This is your damper setting, the 1 through 10. It has a big effect on what you're doing. If you put it to 10 and you start rowing for a while and you think, man, my lower back is killing me, that's why. You're at much too high of a resistance. It's actually a little bit counterintuitive. If you're a very experienced rower, I'm gonna put you at a 1. If you're a beginner, I'm gonna put you at a 10 because you feel the rower differently. Like the rower at a 1, if you try to row on it, if you can't feel the catch to stay connected, you'll be in the middle of strokes. Like it'll be really hard for you to feel what that's like. So the easy way to tell, and what, you know, collegiate rowers and rowers, you know, Olympic rowers, what they use is what's called the drag factor. All these machines have the ability to find it, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. But what you're looking for is a drag factor between 115 and 140. So everybody who's first, come and sit down on the rower, hit menu to get you to the main screen. It should say just row, select workout, that kind of thing. Go to more options, display drag factor, and then it'll be a blank screen. It says row to display drag factor. Set a damper anywhere you want and start rowing. Just a couple of strokes, doesn't have to be hard. It'll start to show a number in that little box. If the number falls outside of that range, generally I recommend 120 for women, 130 for men. If it falls outside of that range, you don't have to get out of the rower. You can just take the handle, tap it down a little bit, tap it up, and then keep rowing, and you'll see a very little change in that damper setting actually makes a big difference on your drag factor. So get it to where, you know, around somewhere inside that range. Yeah, don't hit it too hard. These are Brant's rowers. So. So this drag factor is going to be different depending on where the rower is, what the temperature is, and so what, you know, collegiate rowers will do is no matter what gym they go into, say they go to a YMCA versus they go to a CrossFit gym, this is the first thing they set because the temperature, the humidity, everything's going to change it a little bit because there's a calculation in there which how much air is coming in, and that's going to set it. So I recommend when you come in, you know, find a drag factor that's comfortable for you. What you'll find over time, the more that you row, if you become more comfortable with it, is that this is a guideline. If you're in a workout and you think, you know, it's a 20-second row every round and you want to throw it to 10 and that helps you get through it quicker mentally, go ahead. But think of it as gears on a bike. Let's say I'm riding on a flat and I put it on the easiest gear. I'm spinning really fast. I can put it on the hardest gear. If I use the same amount of power, I'm not going any faster. I'm just pushing harder to get there. It's very similar to gears on a bike. It's like when you're going up a hill, you're going to gear down because you're keeping the cadence up. You're trying to keep your cadence the same way across. Okay. So yeah, so damper settings, a 1. You can, you know, mess around with it while we're rowing here. Put it down to a 1, see what it feels like. Put it up to a 10, see what it feels like. It'll be a big difference. The 1 is very loose. You have to really turn over your stroke quickly to be able to catch that. So obviously a little bit lower, we're gonna be more aerobic. A 10, we'll use that for like a 20-stroke power. If you're just working on power, you're doing 20-stroke intervals. And so you pull super hard for 20 strokes. You'll take a rest, you know, 3-4 minutes.
Is this the damper setting that I should be rowing at during the workout?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So unless, you know, I say always start here, it'll be comfortable. This is what will be the most efficient for you. If you notice that, like, you know, once you get more experience with it, if you're in a workout that has a 30-second interval or something, and you think, all right, I'm gonna jack it up, I know I can pull. Because if you pull it at a 10 and you're able to pull it, you will turn over a little bit faster, but you gotta have the stamina and the strength to do it, or else it's gonna blow up your lower back. And like in CrossFit, if you blow up your lower back on the rower and then you gotta go snatch, you're in trouble. So, yeah. Use the rower for what it's useful for. It's for aerobics, to breathe. We're gonna go over the breath and stuff here in a minute. Okay. So now that we sort of know components of the stroke, we're going to use another piece that the monitor has called the force curve. If you go, just hit just row, and then you can hit change display, and you'll see one that says kilogram, pounds. It's like a little graph. It should be empty. I'll go around and make sure everybody has it. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, go through. It's not, yeah, it's that one right there. It's not the wattage one. Just keep hitting display a couple times. Right? No, not that one. One more. One more. That one. Yep, you got it. Okay, so pull a couple strokes here. You'll see a curve pop up.
What's the first graph showing?
I'm going to go over that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's all right. I just want to see what everybody's at. All right, so I see a little bit of each of these. What these are going to show you is if you have a really high peak in the beginning, you're pulling too early, you're driving too early, and you're putting all that weight here, and then you're opening up and you're not finishing the stroke, you're not long. This is ideal. You want like that perfect parabolic curve. It doesn't matter if it's really high. Some people's parabolic curve will be, you know, low, but you just want it smooth across. And I'll row on here and I'll show you what these look like or sound like so you can get a little bit. If you're here, I saw a couple people here, that means you're disconnected. So let me show you what each of these looks like. So if I row early, if I'm pulling here, like I'm pulling way too early, I'm not really finishing the stroke. I'm putting all my power here. If I'm, you know, at ideal, it's the whole way through. And then to look like the third one, I'm pulling here and then I'm sort of waiting. Like you're pulling twice almost. And so this is helpful to have up when you're in the, maybe not in the middle of a workout, if you're only on there for a little bit, but at least in your warm up and stuff to try to see like, okay, am I connected? Where am I missing? If your curve goes, let's say opposite of this, you're not using your legs. You're trying to pull at the end of the stroke with the arms. Or if you see a gap, like if all of a sudden it does that, that means you pulled with your legs, you sort of let off, and then you finish with your arms. And so you're missing that piece of the drive. That's a lot of power, a lot of turnover that you're not going to have. Did everybody get a chance to do that? You can keep going. A V? The opposite direction? Then you're doing some kind of handstand.
Wow, look at that. Oh.
Yeah, there you go. That looks good. Good. So that's a really easy feedback mechanism to show, like, you know, how connected to the machine am I? And sometimes it'll change. There's a lot of good options in the monitor that, you know, that aren't readily apparent that we have to go into and find. So make sure everybody gets a shot at that. You can pull a couple of times. Okay. So here's the big piece for our workouts is stroke rate versus pacing. So I don't know how many people have ever noticed it, but in the top right-hand corner, if you're looking at the one we were just looking at, you see where it says S/M. That's your strokes per minute. That's how quickly you're turning over the machine. How many times am I rowing? You know, if you watch a rower on the water, it's every time the paddle touches the water. You know, how many of those am I getting in a minute? That's gonna change every time. If you notice in a workout, like somebody I think somebody came up to me and said like, oh yeah, you know, I started at 29, I ended at like 36. That's a massive range. Like if you want to jump 2 strokes per minute, we'll talk about the pyramid at the end, but what I want everybody to do is just row at your normal pace for a minute and take a look at what that SPM says, or S/M. It should still be in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see it somewhere on there. If you change the display, it moves around a little bit. So just row for a full minute, just at your normal pace. See if it changes, see if it stays the same. See if you can hold it at the same the whole time. Good, Siobhan. Open up a little more at the end. So you're pretty far here. You can open up your trunk just a little bit at the end. Or lean back a little bit more. There you go.
She's pulling early.
Yeah, so you're putting all the drive. Like I can see that you're sort of hitched. Like stay here and just pull all together. So let me think.
I feel like I don't have enough. Stop more with your legs in.
Yeah, so I think it's because you sort of hinge too far at the top. Just stay here tight. Just sit there right there. Yeah, there you go. So pull, try to keep it all connected. Yeah. So like I said, it may not be, you're still there, like you're just not spread. It's just a time thing because you pull really fast. You pull like 34 strokes a minute. And so yours is going to be a little bit more smashed together than somebody who pulled like an 18 where it's going to be out here. But mess with it. I mean, as you're pulling, like put a little more leg into it, see what happens to the curve. Put a little more arms into it, see what happens to the curve. Like, so that first one was like, so she's a little bit disjointed from the first to the second.
I feel like when I put more leg in it, I don't have the at all. So then I guess it's a damper.
Yeah, then you put the damper up. So make sure you get at least a minute, take a look at your strokes. So how many people by show of hands were above 25? 25? How about below 25? I guess it'd be everybody else. Okay, so the ideal range is generally 18 to 34. People often pull pretty quickly because if you pull faster, your rate is going to determine your pace. When I say rate, I'm talking about your strokes per minute. And so if I pull a faster rate, it's going to drop your pace down. And so everybody thinks, you know, I'm just going to pull a little bit quicker. Well, that's really hard to breathe through, especially in a workout. The faster you start pulling, the harder it is to breathe. And so that's why we recommend, 18 for like an aerobic pace and 34 for a race pace. And I'll show you what the difference is. Because you can pull at both of these. You can pull in at 18 and at 34 and hit the exact same number. So if I get this monitor on here a second. Okay. So I'm going to pull it at 18 first. So I'm at a 212 per 500 meter pace at 18 strokes per minute. If I take this up to 26, I'm going to try to hit that 212 again. And that's a little fast. So right there. So I don't have to pull as hard, but I'm turning it over quicker. And so it's starting to bring my heart rate up a little bit faster. At that 18, I can breathe all the way in. So I'm pulling the exact same pace no matter what the stroke is. And so that's what I want you guys to practice on is, what does an 18 feel like? Man, I can breathe really well. It feels easy. So I have to put a little bit more, you have to put a little bit more power into the machine, but you can breathe a lot easier. So listen to the difference. So let's say, I'll keep it at 18 strokes for both. So if I drive, like you hear the difference in the rower, so a lot of power, big, long recovery. This is 20 strokes a minute at 150. So if I go up to, 26 at 150, you hear how there's a little bit difference, a lot of less air going in there. I don't have to push as hard with my legs, but I have to turn over a lot quicker. So your pace is gonna determine, your rate's gonna determine your pace. And so what I want everybody to do is get on there and try to row it in 18. It's gonna feel super slow, but try to get used to that. As you come back, get your big breath in, breathe out while you're pushing back, breathe in on the recovery. Try to row for a minute at 18. Yeah. It doesn't matter what your pace is right now per 500 meter. We're just gonna go for stroke rate first. You can finish your pull a little bit lower. You're all the way up here. Just try to keep that in a straight line. Yep, right there. That way you can get it off your chest faster. You'll get back to the next stroke. So now as you're rowing 18, put more pressure into your leg and watch the rate go down. Enjoy the rest, but put more pressure off the start. Your pace will start to drop. Switch with your partner, have them get it. Gotta change your units here. I'm just hitting the units button. If you're on calories per hour, I'm just gonna hit the units until I see per 500 meter so that we can watch the pace. Okay, so then when you get back to the first person, I want the next person to now row at a 24. If you were watching your 500 meter and you want to keep it the same, go ahead and try. Go to 24 strokes and keep it at the same number you had before. See what 24 feels like. Good. And the trick is, how close can you keep it to 24 each time? Good run. Okay, then switch with the other group. You still feel slow at 24?
I take it like the possibility.
Yeah. So it's useful to row at these lower stroke rates because it teaches you how to put more power into the machine. And then once you can put that power, if you can take that same power, come up to 34, you're flying through. Then it's a matter of, can I breathe? You know, am I aerobically fit enough to breathe through that at that rate? But the low stroke rates, you know, you can sort of disguise it. If I hit 36 strokes a minute, I'm pulling a pretty fast rate, but I'm not going to pull that for a 5K. You know, I don't know how to put it. You got to find that happy medium between power and efficiency. So wait just a little bit on the rock over. So keep your chest This here. So as you're pulling back, stay long here until your legs are all the way down and then finish the stroke. You're opening up a little bit early and pulling here. Okay, so what I'm gonna go over before we go, we're gonna do that one more time at that top at 34, but I wanna go over the breathing. So at 18, it's really easy that I can sort of count breaths. Same if you're running. If you're used to running a lot, you know, every 3 steps you're taking a breath. You want to find a good cadence on the rower. The reason why we stay tall and stay long is because I can breathe through this. If I start going here, my chest is collapsed, my lungs are collapsed, I can't breathe. I'm starting to pull here, and now I'm really just immediately going to the mouth. And so what you want to look for is I'm breathing out through my nose or through pursed lips as I'm pushing, and then I'm getting a big breath in the whole recovery, and then I'm out again here. And so that pushing out through your lips on the drive is similar to when you're on the deadlift. You're not trying to breathe in as you're pulling up the deadlift. You're either holding your breath or you're breathing out, you know, slightly through pursed lips so that you can keep that core tight. If I lose that core tightness and I try to pull, you know, I want to be here. My back ankle wants to stay the same. If I lose it, now I'm here and I'm sort of rocking myself back. And that's why people, you know, if they row for a while, they think, oh man, my lower back's getting sore. It's either from having your damper too high or you just get tired and you're not breathing correctly. So at 18, that's easy. I guess I should go over the other one. At 34, you're gonna have to breathe twice. It's really hard to do that same, you know, breathe in here, breathe out here, because you're moving so quickly that you'll end up opposite. You'll start breathing in as you're pushing out. And so it's, as I pull, it's, you want to try to get 2 breaths in before you do that pull again. It takes a little bit to get used to, but just think 2 breaths. If I'm any higher than, say, you know, 30, 25 to 30, 1 breath, I'm down at 18. And you can mess around with that. I mean, some people will be more comfortable 2 breaths all the time. Just depends how quickly you can get air into your lungs. So we're gonna do another minute. We're gonna try 34. So you're gonna row at 34. Try to focus on just the 34 and on your breath. Can I find some sort of cadence that I think I can sit here for a long time? Like, let's say you're gonna row a 2K. Can I hold 34 for a 2K? What? Yeah. So you can bring your hands out a little bit, like put them on the outside. Yeah, there you go.
Like at the back here, and then
I'm breathing in as I'm coming in, yeah.
As you're coming
Yep, and I'm breathing out. I'm pretty much taking my breath out the whole stroke as I'm pressing.
And then in.
And then I'm breathing in the whole stroke as I'm coming in. Because I want to get as much air into my lungs as I can.
I couldn't hit 34 with my leg, with my feet unstrapped.
Really? Because you want to come back?
Well, even trying to stay up, I just couldn't get in time to get the strap.
Yeah. Yeah, so a good point that Rod just made. He said he's having a hard time getting to 34 with his feet out because he's not able to pull himself back in. When you get to these higher race paces, that's really what the straps are made for. It's going to be sort of difficult to turn over quick enough. The strap gives you that little bit of an edge to pull yourself back in. So you're definitely going to use the straps in a workout and everything else, but I want you to be able to feel that pull first. Good a minute. Keep your arms a little bit longer. Just stay a little bit more patient. There you go. Good. Yeah, much better. What's that? 26? If you're not used to playing with the different stroke rates, it's a difficult task to get either high or lower. Some people really are comfortable with low. Like if you watch people, I don't know, if you used to watch regionals when they did it and they had the camera angle all the way down, you'd see one guy pull, wait, like the whole thing. Jason Khalipa was famous for this. He'd pull super hard because he was extremely powerful. Then he'd rest really long till he get back to the next stroke. And then you see other people just going. So it's going to be a little bit of give and take. Some people, the more powerful athletes, are comfortable at 18 and 20 because you're able to put a lot of power into the machine. You can get that big rest and you're not quite as aerobic. If you're more aerobic, your stroke's going to be a little bit higher. That's why I give a range, 18 to 34. 34 is going to be really high. If you're rowing at 34 all the time, you're not able to develop and you're not developing more power. And so I'm going to give at the end sort of some programming advice for people that are more comfortable here and people that are more comfortable here. And that way, because you want to train the weakness. You don't want to train, if you're comfortable at 33, I'm not going to have you go row a 2K at 33. I'm going to have you do some more powerful movements and stuff like that. Okay, so I want to show everybody how to set up the monitor for a workout. So what we're going to do is we're going to run an easy workout. We're not going to do this whole pyramid. We're just going to go 18, actually we're going to go 18, 22, 26. And so the way that you set it up, everybody, first group can sit down a while. You're going to go to, hang on, I got to get this on again. Rod lent me his rower and you never know. Okay, so go to select workout, new workout, and then you're going to go to variable. And it's going to say interval 1. Does everybody see that? Yeah. Oh, okay. This one's a little different. Yeah, it'll say intervals variable. You see that? Okay. And so you'll click on that. And we'll just go distance for this one. So click distance. And then we're going to go 100 meters. So you'll push the little plus arrow and the minus arrow. You'll just set it down to 100 meters. Once the first person starts it, it'll save in there. And so go to 100 meters and then click the over arrow at the top button, until it goes down to set rest time. Yep, so go down to set rest time and go below, and we're just going to do a 10-second rest. I'll make sure everybody has this when I come around. Okay. You're setting the minute rest time? Yeah, so we're going to set the distance at 100, the rest time at 10.
And then optional pace.
Optional pace boat, we're not going to set at the time. If you know a pace, yeah. So once you have 110,
Just hit check.
yep, just hit the check. And now it's going to come up, it's going to say interval 2. You might have went into a different one. If it says interval 2, just hit, we're going to go to, you're going to hit distance again, and then you're going to hit the check mark. And so now you're just adding intervals, however many intervals you want to add. We're just going to go 3 intervals. Let me see. So if you went, if instead you didn't go to variable and you went to this, yeah, yep. So just hit the check mark again, and you just keep cycling through. So distance, and then the check mark.
So
Yeah, yours I might have to redo. Let me work out. Intervals, variable, do distance. Yeah. If you didn't do the variable intervals, it'll just keep doing the same piece each time. Okay. And then you just hit distance again, this again. And then once you get to 3, you'll hit no more intervals. Oops. Okay. And so it's going to count down from 100 meters now. What you're going to do is the first one you're going to row at 18. For 100 meters, you're going to row at a stroke of 18. Then it's going to give you a 10-second rest, and then you're going to row at 22. And it's going to give you a 10-second rest. You're going to row 100 meters at 26. When you're done with that, we're going to be able to go back through and look, did you hit that number? How close were you? Because it's going to go, it might go all over the place while you're rowing. So try that. The first 100 meters at 18, then you'll get a 10-second rest. The second 100 meters at 22, 10-second rest. The third at 26. This is also going to give us your 500-meter split per that 100-meter time. So if you can, try to keep the split the same. That's going to be the difficult part. So it'll count down your 10-second rest, and then it'll go back. It'll just reset itself to 100.
Oh, it's 22.
What's that?
What is
The second one's at 22. So 18, 22, 26. Good, right there on 22, nice job.
I feel like didn't have enough meters to get to 18.
Yeah, the 100-meter distance is a little difficult because it's pretty short, but I want to make sure everybody gets it. What? The third one's 26. 18, 22, 26. We're going to go up by 4 strokes. Normally you take jumps about 2 strokes, which is what you see in that pyramid. You'd go up and then come down. That's a good workout to do to get you used to the stroke rate. Once you're done, just hang out because I'll show you how to go back through and review it, and then the next person, it'll already be set up. So the really nice part about these Concept 2s, especially with the newer monitors, is they'll save these workouts forever. And you can take a picture of it, but it'll save in the machine. You can always go back, you can re-row it, try to beat the same times. You can see, oh, I was having a really hard time holding the pace here. Let me try it again, now I'm right on, okay? So once you're finished, what you'll hit then, you'll hit menu, and that'll sort of end the workout. You'll see a little hourglass come up, that means it's saving it. Okay, once you're on the main screen, go to memory, list by date, and then hit the little hour or the magnifying glass button. That third one there, the fourth one, sorry. Oh. Yeah. Okay, and that'll tell you, you can take a look. My first one, how close were you to 18? How close were you to 22? How close were you to 26? What was your 500-meter pace each time? You can hit the bottom button. If you lose the brightness, just hit the bottom button on the right. The brightness will come back so you can see it. Did anybody hit it exact? 18, 22, 26? That'd be impressive.
20, 22.
Okay. Yeah, the 18 is tough to get to at 100. But that'll always stay in there, and so you can go back. And so now, when the next person gets up, did you find it? Yeah, so you're looking at the right side there. So your first one was 22, then 23, then 26. So you got right on the 26 and just about on the 20. Yeah, the 18. Okay. The 18 is tough for if you haven't rode at a low stroke rate like that because it's hard to put the power. So, all right, the next person that comes up, hit menu to come back to the main screen. Menu, you might have to hit menu a couple times to get back to the full. Hit it one more time there. Yeah, it should say just row, select workout, all that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, hit the menu one more time. There you go. Okay, now hit select workout, re-row, and it should be the top one. You'll just hit re-row. You'll click that re-row button. You can just hit this one, the bottom button where it says re-row. And now it should be set up to do the exact same thing that the previous person did. So you're gonna give it a shot here. 18 for the first 100 meters, then 22, then 26. You can go ahead whenever. Oh, nice job, you're right on 18. So there's 2 ways to get to 18. There's a way where you're pulling at a really slow 500-meter pace if you're not used to it, or if you can pull with a lot of power and you get a big rest. So that's the 2 different options. Most people are going to do the first one, and I'll show you how to do the second one here in a minute. So once you get that 10-second rest, you're going to go to 22. Try to hit 22. Remember that good stroke. You pull with the legs first, 60%, then you rock over, and then you finish at 11 o'clock. No further than 11 o'clock. You'll come back to 1 o'clock, come back in. The last one's at 26. Your last interval will be at 26 strokes a minute. There you go, Jen. A little quicker, Robin. Okay, and once you're done, you can just wait that 10-second rest, and then you can hit menu, and you'll see the little hourglass, it'll save it. And then we'll do that same thing. When you're back to the main screen, you'll hit memory, list by date, and then you'll hit that little hourglass button, or magnifying glass button, the fourth button down, and then you can take a look. How close was I? 18, 22. You went way off in the middle. And take a look at your 500 meter split. Yeah, so there it's showing you your first one. You were at 19. Nice. You're only one off. You're right on in the end. That's really good.
That's great.
And so then now what we'll work on is try to get that number the same each time. So the only thing we were taking a look at is that last number, your stroke rate. We weren't taking a look at that middle portion, which is your 500 meter split. But ideally what you want is if you're going to row this, if you're going to see this in a program where you're going to row a pyramid, you want the 500 meter split to stay the same. So let's say I program this at 2 minutes per 500 meter. That means that at 18 you got to pull 2 minutes. At 20 you got to pull 2 minutes. At 22 you got to pull 2 minutes. And so you got to be able to feel what that's like. You're pulling different power levels. Now you're putting more into the machine. And so what I'm going to have everybody do is most of the time people aren't used to putting that much power at 18 to get it to where it was. So go back into your list by date, go to the menu. Let me pull this back up. So, okay, mine doesn't look quite the same. Does everybody find it? Take whatever your last number was at your 26. Just hit the little magnifying glass. You can go down. You can pick, if you were the first one on there, you'll go down. You'll pick the second one. Whatever your last number is, your lowest number per 500 meter split generally, keep that number in mind, and we're going to try to hit that.
This is her numbers, I think.
Yeah, you can just go back once and then hit down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you're on the first one, you can hit menu again and then push down to get back to the second one. Are you on the second one?
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, so you can hit down here, and that'll move that little cursor down, and then you hit that. Those will be your numbers. So whatever your last number is, keep that in mind. Okay. So what we're going to do is you're going to do 20 strokes, what's called power strokes. So we're not going to use that number right now, but we're going to use it pretty quickly, so you won't forget it, I hope. What you're going to do is what you have, so there's energy systems in the body. You have a creatine phosphate system. That's going to be extremely quick and it's going to burn out. You either, on the rower, you sort of either lose it, use it or lose it. And so what you get is you basically get 20 free strokes of power when you start a 2K or a 500 meter row. After that, that energy system's gone. You're going to go to the next one. And so you get those free power strokes to get, you want to dive your 500 meter time down to sort of hedge your bet against what it's going to be, and then you settle into your pace. So if you always come out at the same pace, what it's doing is it's averaging that 500 meter time over the course of the race. So if you row a 2K, it's taken, you're going to vary a little bit. You're going to be 149, 148, whatever you're at. It's going to average it across it. If you hedge your bets at the first, take advantage of those 20 strokes, put a lot of power in, you drop down to say a 130, then you settle into a 150, your average is already down here. If you start slow, now your average is up here. It's a little bit out there. But what we're going to do is you're going to do 20 hard strokes as hard as you can pull, and you're going to take a look at what the 500 meter time is. And so you're just going to drive as hard as you can all the way out, come back in. 20 strokes as hard as you can pull, and you'll take a look at what the 500 meter time is. You can just set it to just row, yeah. You can go all the way back to menu and then hit just row. And so 20 strokes as hard as you can pull.
Break it, Rod! Break it!
Okay. When you're done with the 20, switch with your partner. We'll give you a little bit of rest before you do the next piece. Right now, you're just gonna pull as hard as you can for 20 strokes. Now we're gonna see how big of the difference is from one to another when we do the next piece. Yeah, you can just, there you go. So just 20 total strokes, as hard as you can pull, see where your number gets to. In case anybody has to leave right at 12, it's 11:55. I just want to be cognizant of everybody's time. We're going to run a little bit over, but if you have to leave at 12, I understand. Okay, so now what you're going to do is we're going to set a new workout. You're going to go on there. You're going to set select workout. This time you're going to go to standard list, and you're going to hit 500 meter with 1 minute rest, the one at the bottom. Okay, so we're not going to pull an all-out 500 meter. You're going to take whatever that time was for your 100 meter at 26, and you're going to try to row that for 500 meters at 22. So whatever that number was at 26, you're going to try to hit 22 strokes per minute and that same 500 meter piece. So if you remember what your pace was, hopefully everybody remembers. If not, you can go back in and check quick. I'll give you a couple minutes. Well, let's say it's 2:15 at 26 strokes a minute. You're going to try to pull that whole 500 meter piece at 2:16 at 22 strokes a minute. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
We use straps.
Yeah, you can use the straps. You can use strap up. You're allowed. Go ahead. Actually, one thing on the straps, when you do it, so these things make a big difference. Nobody ever changes them. I always see people get in whatever it is. You want that strap to be over the middle of your foot. So think of where the barbell is when you're doing a deadlift or anything else. Same place you want the strap. You don't want the strap all the way out on your toe, and you don't want it the whole way back here. So if you have big feet, like maybe Rod and me, if you're at a 1 and you're trying to put your foot in there, it's going to be really tough for you to get that compression. You're not going to be in the right spot. So make sure that strap goes over the middle of your foot. It only takes a second to switch them.
So we're doing the...
Yep, so you're going to do that 500 meter thing at whichever pace you finished at 26 strokes, but we're going to try to row it at 22. So now when we review, you're going to have 2 numbers to look at. How close was I to that pace? How close was I to the stroke rate? We're going to try to put that all together.
We're doing the 500.
Yep, a 500.
Okay.
So that shouldn't be an all-out pace. You guys were rowing it pretty comfortable. When you're done, it'll be a minute rest, and you'll switch with your partner, and your partner will try the same thing. They'll just have a different number. Try to hit 22 strokes a minute and try to hit that 500 meter pace. Nice curve, Gary. Nice job, Siobhan. Colin's going way up. What's that?
It's not doing a count up to the meters.
Yeah, it's going to count down from 500.
Okay.
They should all be counting down from 500 meters. The reason why it does that is because if for whatever reason you're going to row a time trial, say a 2K or 500 meter row, you want it to count down because as soon as it hits 0, it's going to give you the time. If you try to hit just row and row at 500 meters, it's going to keep rolling. It doesn't know when you stop. There's that weird gray area. So you always want it to count down, and that way it hits your time as soon as it hits 0. Plus, I think mentally it's a little bit easier. Instead of counting up, I only got 100 left, I only got 50 left. Nice job, Rob. So when it finishes, it'll sort of give you a snapshot of whatever time it was. It'll tell you how much total time you took, and then we'll have to go back in and review what the averages were. And so in that minute rest, switch with your partner, and it should reset to 500.
That's pretty spot on. 205 and 22.
Good.
How did it feel
But it was like
rowing at
fluctuating a
that?
lot. But
Yeah.
what?
How did it feel rowing at that?
I feel like I could go for 2K at that pace.
Have you rode a 2K?
Yeah.
What's your normal 2K pace? Yeah.
I can't remember last time I was.
So wait, I need to find that number. I gotta go back in.
Yeah, if you need to go back to find that number, go all the way back to the beginning. We can reset the thing. It's not a big deal. Yeah, go back to the beginning screen. You'll go to memory, then list by date, and then you can push those little arrows. Yeah, that goes all the way to the top, and then just those ones go down. Yeah, list by date, and then you gotta hit that little button when you find it.
216.
You find it there? Yeah, so you already reviewed this one, nice. How close was it to what you were going for? 219? Wow, it was really close. Nice job. And then you can just go in and hit re-row, or you can go back to select workout. If anybody needs to fix that, I can get it. You should start, there you go. Yeah, just hit select workout and re-row. Or standard list, either one. There you go. 214. And 22. Shot, Marcus. Were you close?
Huh?
Did you hit it?
I was close, yeah.
Good job, guys. I see a lot of 22s. Hopefully the other number matches. Okay, when you're done, if you didn't see it, you can go back through and review it if you need to. What's that? It'll have both, probably. Well, it depends how you set it up. If you both did it consecutively, it'll just be in the same one. Like some people stopped and started again.
Memory?
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
List by date.
Yeah, list by date. And then just pick the top one. So it'll, yeah, it has both years in there then. So just hit the, yeah, so there you go. So you were 149 at 23. Marcus was 155 at 22. Is that what you're going for, 155?
I was trying to hit 150 at 22.
Yeah,
That's
you're super close.
fairly close.
You're right there. So go back through and take a look at how close you were on one or the other. So you go to memory, and then list by date, and then you'll hit that little magnifying glass one. Yeah, and so that'll give you both years. So you were the second one, so you were 159 at 23. Was that close? You were 235. You can hit this bottom button here. 235 at 23. Do you remember the number you were trying to hit?
What was it? Number?
Were you close? So does everybody understand how to read that and what it means? Like what you're looking for? Okay. So we're right at 12 o'clock. We can end. I was going to have everybody row a 500 meter 4 time just to test. If you want to do it, you're welcome to do it. I'll be here and I'll watch. But so programming wise, If you notice that it's really hard for you to get down to 18, and even at 22, if you had a hard time getting your 500 meter split low enough, we're gonna do more power workouts. So that 20 stroke power that we did, you do those 20 stroke powers, you rest about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you do 5 or 6 intervals of those, trying to hit the same number every time. You want it to be sustainable. If you notice the first time you do the 20 and you're at like 135, and then round 4 you're at 150, end it, end the workout. You're trying to get that power. You don't want to teach yourself to be slow. You're still rowing the 20, but it's not counting the same. You want it to be sustainable across. That's why you do an interval workout. The intervals should stay the same. The rest is giving your body enough time to recover. You should be within a couple of seconds. There's a good test on here if anybody wants to do it on their own, and maybe we could do that instead of the 30-30. It's already, instead of the 500. It's programmed. It's called the 30-30 row test. It's 4 rounds. You do 30 seconds as hard as you can. You have a 30-second rest. You do 30 seconds as hard as you can. You do that 4 times, and then you see how far you drop off. You're looking for like 100%, 97, 95, 93. If you go like 100 down to 65, then we need to look at probably an aerobic base, okay? And if you're comfortable pulling at 18 and you can keep it really low, I'd say try to row a 5K. Try to row a 10K. How does that feel? If you're not used to rowing that long, it's gonna be a little uncomfortable on your butt, obviously, if you're not used to sitting on the seat for that long, but put a towel or something on there and just try to hold a comfortable pace. Can I hold 26 for an entire 10K? Can I hold it for a 5K? Where's that line that it breaks? And then you sort of program around that and we find it. But hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. If you have any questions, let me know. If anybody wants to try the 30-30 or the 500, I'm all for it. But not today. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.